talking to our Christian students, then I will be emotional with you, and I have no problem doing that.
I love those two boys, and I can't wait to see them in heaven someday.
Patrol released their final report today on the rollover crash near Dalton, Minnesota that took the lives of Zach and Connor Kvalvog and injured two other young men. Good evening and welcome to 630 Point of View. I'm Chris Berg. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, the report claims that a semi crossing the center line likely initiated the chain of events that took the lives of Zach and Connor. Officials say that it appears Zach overcorrected while attempting to move away from the semi that was coming into his lane, and then was unable to regain control of his vehicle. Even though a semi driver still has not been located, Sergeant Jesse Greba, who's with the Minnesota State Patrol, says the case is now closed unless new information is discovered. Officials say road conditions, alcohol, and drugs were not factors in the crash, and they also ruled out vehicle malfunction. Now, Ray Kvalvog, Zach and Connor's dad, had requested this report not be released to the public because he feels the agency's report has flaws in it and it did not fully investigate the possibility of mechanical failure. Mr. Kvalvog is kind enough to join us tonight. Ray, thank you so much for being here. Our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to you and Kathy and your family. I want to start with your assertion here that there are flaws in the agency's report. What are you referring to specifically?
Well, I think we talk about flaws. Firstly, Chris, thanks for having me on, and I think the Highway Patrol has done a good job investigating what they can, but they have limited resources, and because of that, they aren't able to look at some of the other issues that I believe are still pending. One, as you've mentioned, being mechanical failure, potentially of the truck, and that has to stem from the fact that the truck was on a second recall notice.
So why did they close this then report out without, is it just pure resources that's why they closed it out and they said, hey, we understand there might be some recalls with this particular vehicle, but we need to close this out because...
Well, I think they've done all that they're capable of doing based on the manpower that they have. They have one investigator, Chris, for the entire northern part of Minnesota. So with that being said, I mean, there's crashes every day, every week. They just don't have the manpower to continue this, and there was a lot of media pressure to get something out into the public.
Let's talk specifically about some of the mechanical failures. Before we get to some pictures that you've shared with me in the past, did you ever previously have issues with this particular vehicle?
Yeah, back in August of 2014, I was in Ada, Minnesota with the truck, and Zachary was actually at a football game, and the tie rod snapped right there. Fortunately, there was a Chrysler dealership there, and that was repaired, but that was just the first recall. And it was the subsequent recall, unfortunately, came after the accident that I learned about in July.
And you've reached out to, I assume, the truck manufacturer, and what have they told you about this recall in your particular truck?
I personally called the Chrysler 800 number, I even know the gal I talked to. I talked to a gal by the name of Elena who told me this truck was on an L16 recall. Evidently, all these recalls are lettered and numbered, and that had to do with some kind of part or torque bolt still connected with the steering. And when I asked her if I could have that truck repaired yet, not telling her that the truck was in an accident, she said, yeah, you could take it to your local dealership. Everybody here knows that Corwin Chrysler is the local Chrysler dealership. And when I mentioned that name, she was well aware of that, but it said that the truck could not be repaired yet because those parts weren't even available. So to this day, the part to repair that truck is not even available.
I want to share some of the pictures that you've shared with me in the past with the audience and let you kind of walk people through what else is going on here as far as the roof of the vehicle, the side airbags. So if we can bring up this first picture, please, and let Ray walk people through it to give people an idea of what we're looking at specifically here, Ray.
Okay, that's the truck that was taken by Buyers Towing after the accident and brought into their kind of shed. I guess they kind of do all the, collect all the crash vehicles in Otter Tail County. And if you look, to me, the most horrific part is just the total destruction. As the highway patrol guys have told me, it looks like a bomb went off inside the cab of that truck. But if you look real close, Chris, the most noticeable and the most egregious part is two things. First, the roof is completely torn off the vehicle. The roof came off the posts and ended up probably 150 to 200 yards away up onto Dalton Motorsports without a scratch on it. How that roof came off is still a mystery. So that's one of the things, again, that the highway patrol is unable to investigate, and that's why I want to look further into this. And then, of course, we have issues of airbags, seatbelts, and those types of things.
Rollover bars, things of that nature?
Correct, that seem to have failed.
I just want to share a couple more pictures, please, if you can bring those up. Obviously, while Ray is sharing what's going on, you can see here again, no rooftop. And Ray, if you want to add anything as these pictures go through, please do so, sir.
Well, I think the other part of that is you can see the underside of the vehicle is in perfect condition. I think those boys wouldn't have been injured, and certainly my two sons, Zach and Connor, would maybe be alive if the destruction was on the bottom side instead of the top side of the vehicle.
Next one, please. And there you can see again just the lack of the rooftop. So as you're reaching out, I'm sure you've got experts now that are working on this to look at what happened with the roof, the airbags. What are you hearing from these particular experts?
Well, I have been contacted finally by Chrysler Fiat. They want to come and look at the vehicle. And now the ball's back in my court. I've been instructed by my insurance company, as they're going to have their representatives there, that I need to have my own team of engineers, forensic mechanics, whatever that term means, to be there with Chrysler to look over the vehicle to try to determine exactly, did welds break? Was the metal not up to standard, and all those sorts of things.
The State Patrol, again, they've obviously said, hey, this is closed unless new information is discovered. For you personally, what needs to happen for this to be a closed investigation?
I think it's to find that semi-driver. I think if there's one plea I would have to the public, and people have been so nice and kind to us in the community, if there's one thing that we need is help to help find this semi, because obviously, Chris, either we know he came over and encroached into my son's lane, and whether he did so because he spilled coffee or he got cut off, but there's something there that caused him for that brief moment to slip over into my son's lane and cause the accident. And that comes from the eyewitness testimony of the two boys that lived, Mark Schwant and Jimmy Morton. In fact, the one boy, Jimmy, has been consistent in his testimony that if Zach hadn't moved over at that particular moment in time, the semi would have hit him, and it might have been a different outcome for those two boys.
Talking about, because I've read that you've got some dash cam video that appears to show the semi or a semi in that area at that time, or?
Yeah, well, when the accident occurred, there was troopers from the north coming from Fergus Falls and one from the south coming from Alexandria. And I didn't know this till recently, but they had their dash cam cameras on. And so what we're doing now is taking and breaking that film down. I've got a couple of friends that are helping break that film down to help isolate those semis that were southeast bound, like my son, where my son was traveling. And that should be able to give us some pictures of some of the potential trucks that could be involved in this.
Again, thanks for the time, Ray. I appreciate it. And I just want to give you the last word. Anything else you want to add, sir?
I just want to say, again, thank you. Thanks to the media. Thanks to the whole community for everybody that's been so kind to us. I think, Chris, this is kind of hit home with everybody that has kids. And I had a couple exemplary boys that, and we all think our kids are, and they are precious, but I think it's changed people's lives. If I had some kids left, it would change mine in terms of who I'm having in vehicles. Would I have them both in the same vehicle at the same time? All those sorts of things. So it's, and the one thing too, I would almost take a little exception with it that we saw in the beginning of the broadcast here. I think the accident happened in just an instance. The truck that my son was driving was installed, had a black box. A lot of people didn't know that. And the black box indicated that there was no braking, that my son was accelerating to pass a semi at 77 miles an hour, all within the dynamics of the law, and that my sons died in about a 3-second interval. So there was really no overcorrecting. It was all bang. And both boys that lived through the accident, and I have to quote Mark Schwant, who said, all three of us, my youngest son was watching his video game, so he wasn't involved, but all three boys kind of looked over at the same time, saw the semi encroaching. My older son, who always uses the word geez, said geez, and bang, that was kind of it.
So just to be clear, and I know that obviously these guys have done an exemplary job speaking to the State Patrol, but the report says that it was due to him overcorrecting that was a big part of this crash, and you're saying that that's not accurate.
That is not accurate, and I believe, and I think what they mean by that is that the first move by my son was quick to the left, and then he had to bring it back to the right and back to the left. But I believe, as the two eyewitness testimonies of the boys that lived said, and the black box data indicates, it was all in one motion. It was semis coming over, my son looks over, he goes, geez, turns the wheel, and that was pretty much the end of it. The whole accident was over in about 3.7 seconds. The vehicle, for the damage that we saw there, Chris, didn't travel very far. It only traveled from one end of the median to the other side of the ditch. That was it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
God
you.
bless you. And Kathy.
Thank you.
Stay with us when we come back. We know it's obviously our first major snowfall. Hutch Johnson's going to join us, give us kind of an in-depth look that we can expect tonight and tomorrow morning with the weather. Stay with us, much more coming up.